Hey, Jim Craddock here. It is Friday, June 7th, 2024, and this is an update. I've actually had a couple of good weeks up until really kind of today. So it's been right at 2 weeks where I haven't been experiencing major problems. And it was nice. And it's weird. I blogged about this week too, but you know, throughout the course of this illness, and I can tell you in 1995, I was certain that I had this. And throughout the course of this illness, uh, I I had managed to be able to forget at times that I have it and feel, pretty normal, at least sometimes physically and mentally, sometimes not physically, but at least mentally. Uh, and what I mean by that is that there's sometimes when, I might still be hurting some or something like that, but in my mind, I just kind of I can block it out and I managed to kind of have normal times and not think about it. And then it always comes back, and the next thing starts. And at the beginning, it was years between these things that would go wrong. And sometimes in the beginning too, it would be just kind of a variance, and it wouldn't really kind of go overboard. It would just be like you could tell, oh, something's not right, and then I'd go back to feeling normal. And man, I exercised. I ran 15Ks. I ran 5Ks. I worked out 4 times a week or more. Sometimes I ran and worked out. You know, did all the things that you would think that a normal person would do. And I think it's probably why I'm still alive, 29 years later almost, is that I did take care of myself, and I didn't drink much. I did a little bit, but not much, and generally took care of myself. And anyway, so where are we at today? And so today I'm so in this kind of final kind of push, the article talks about how the people would have to sit up super straight at the table because their ribs, the muscles, the whatever is linking kind of everything together, they're no longer holding everything well. And there was another part where it talked, and it said that it felt like a belt around their middle. And I was like, I mean, there's definitely been times when I've had a lot of abdominal stuff going on when I was like, well, maybe this is that belt thing. No, that was not the belt thing, because the belt thing started basically today. I've had some twinges kind of over the last week or so of where I would kind of move laterally with my torso, and I would feel like, oh, something's not right. And and uh, and now we're to the point where it feels like I kind of have a tight girdle around my abdomen. Uh, and so I'm assuming that the rib stuff will come soon. But at least I've had a couple weeks here, and all I wanted to do was get through the end of May, or my son's graduation, and I've done that, and I'm happy about that. And I look at every day as a bonus day right now. It's kind of weird, and especially when no one else even knows what's going on. And I just take it one day at a time. My password is literally a version of one day at a time. And so kind of that's where I'm at. And I blogged about this too this week, that it's frustrating for me to not have the knowledge of this condition out there, and it's frustrating on a lot of levels. But one of the main ones is just the significance of the science and the novelness of it, not being a part of the basis that people can use as their scientific knowledge. So it has literally been stolen from them. And there's a lot of novel things that go on during this that I think should be known. And, I've talked about this before too, about my coevolution theory. And maybe that's stupid, but for something to be this long with this many phases where, the Candidiasis is working its way and defeating barrier after barrier, and the body is throwing up new ones and things like that. I think that that's at least a valid theory, and the fact that no one has the knowledge out there, they couldn't even have tested it. But who cares? So what's next, and what am I? Nothing. I don't know. I mean, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I can tell you that for about the last 3 or 4 months, most days, just to kind of just make it through. I've had a lot of work, and the work has kept me busy during the day. But come 6 o'clock, that's when it's time to have a gummy. And then eventually I got my vape working again, and I would hit the vape one time too. And that's the only way I kind of get through it, and it helps me so much. And it's such an inexpensive drug, a big pack of gummies. And literally these are like, I don't know, 10 milligram gummies, and I can literally have a third of one of them, and it makes me feel so much happier. And it helps me get through so much. And that makes me tired, but besides that, it helps so much. And so a pack of those 10 gummies, which for me was a 30-day supply, because I just eat about a third of one each time, is like $9 on Tuesdays or something like that. And compare that to Big Pharma. With all this shit I got going on, they've only given me an antidepressant and something for the nerve pain and something for the stomach or whatever. And literally none of that other stuff is really going to do me any good. And anyway, I just was thinking about that a couple weeks ago when I bought a bag of gummies. I was like, that is so inexpensive. Here's $2 because that's so I tipped the barista. And anyway, I'm doing all right. I'm super happy to be alive, I guess would be the best way to put it. And to know that I've saved myself and given myself a whole nother lifetime that I wouldn't have had. 29 more years almost of you know uh, additional time to have fun and love and experience things and prove myself in the business world, and watch my son, coach him on the soccer team, watch him sing in choirs and achieve things, and gain confidence and become a man. Uh, and he's kind of approached a girlfriend, and he's going to college, and I'm really grateful to have been a part of all of that. And so if I get another week of that or another month of that, I don't know. I know that I'm just going to keep pushing another day, one day at a time. And I went saw my doctor, and he did he did a scan, and he had the ultrasound done, and he did a couple blood tests, and I was talking to him when it was all over, and he was like, well, this looks really good. Now, my alkaline phosphatase was still low, but everything else was perfectly normal. And he's like, well, this looks really good. And I'm like, well, he's like, I guess we would next week just go back to the scan and do the CAT scan again. And I said, you know what? I don't want to push anything right now. And this was, about a week ago. And I said, I'm having, I'm doing okay, and nothing anybody can do is going to change it. And so, until the next shoe drops, then we're not going to do anything. And so the shoe is dropping, and I'm not going to try to do anything. I know that they can't do anything to fix it, and as long as I can take it and deal with it, then that's what I have to do. So I know what's going on right now is it's hitting so I'm losing the blood supply to these muscles through here. And that causes them, they get this tightness, and but that's all there is. It just makes them super tight, and just like it did in my arms and things. There's not really any pain. There's some when I'm bent, but not much. And I'm just gonna, keep keeping on. And we'll see what happens. The last one, my last update, I thought that was probably my last one. Now I'm like, yeah, I mean, I had 2 weeks of peace, and so now there's got to be some amount of time that this is going to suck, and then I would assume it gets better at least for a couple of days. I remember in the article it talks about how the person would be likely to visit the hospital several times during the very last period, and I can tell you, I have been through so much over this last, 2.5 years that it's kind of, I mean, there's so many times like your average person would have been in the hospital. I mean, just so many times. I mean, sometimes it would be 7 days in a row that I would be experiencing things that anybody else would have gone to the hospital for on an individual basis. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on. And it's dramatically different today than it was for the last 2 weeks. So basically, I had exactly 2 weeks of hey, I don't know where the pain went, but thank God. And uh, great. I'm happy for that. I can't be upset that I got some pretty normal days. My flower bed out front looks great. My lawn is looking great. My wisteria that I planted is climbing right up the fence. I got to order new furniture for my son. I'm putting in a new garage door opener right now, or I'm having somebody do it, obviously. And Bitcoin is, up near all-time highs, and it's obvious that it's going to go far. So I know my family's going to be taken care of, and I'm just going to keep pushing one day at a time. So, hey, thanks for listening, and spread my story. I have terminal onset diabetes insipidus with candidiasis major, and it is a iatrogenic condition that has been redacted from scientific literature because of how the experiments. Well, my assumption would be because of the experiments associated with them and the condition. The experiments were probably the reason why people give it, but it's the condition that it causes and how it's so different biologically that has caused them to redact it. It literally changes so many things about how the body works that they decided they didn't want anybody to know how to do that. And because I did it with 2 bottles of Diet Coke to resolve a different condition that I had. And so you can imagine if somebody could repeat that as easily as I did, if they could get into the first condition and duplicate the second, I guess that's what their issue was. So anyway, spread my story, share. It's bizarre. I've talked to doctors for years. I've written it up, as you can see on my website, and I'm just flabbergasted that things are this way with science, that science can be redacted and removed from the knowledge set. That's just a shame. So, hey, yeah, I've taken to Twitter lately. You can go read my Twitter posts. I'm kind of crazy, kind of liberal and conservative, which is kind of bizarre. I mean, there's certain things I promote, and certain things I disagree with, and some of them that they go both ways. I try to use logic and not necessarily associate with the party as much. So anyway, that's me, and hopefully there'll be another update, right?